hear me? All right, like I was telling y'all Sunday, something's been on my mind for quite a while. I think really even before the preacher asked me to do Wednesday night was, I call it fence riding Christians, because I was right in the middle for years and years, just about almost 2 years ago. I made that decision. God laid on my heart to do what I'm doing now, and 100% went on the other side of the fence here. And I found a couple of little bit of humorous things about riding the fence. It's called corporate employers. You know how they talk about honesty and safety on the shop floors and stuff. Then they get up there and they sort of fudge the quarterly numbers to get that bonus, and if they need something real quick, safety's out the window. They say, don't worry about that. It's not safe. Let's go ahead and get this done. So to me, that's sort of riding the fence there. Then, of course, politicians, they'll ride fences. They speak about moral values to the voters. Then they make backroom deals then they contradict their values. And public image, that's public image versus true conviction. Then you have the healthcare industry, sort of a rise of defense. They're all about sworn to take care of the patients, but then they come to treating patients based on insurance or payout or conveniences for them. And that's compassion versus profit. And another few little other humorous little things is a diet fence rider. We all been there, haven't we? I think I'll have me a salad with grilled chicken on it and ranch dressing, right? Then you have the New Year's resolution fence riders. Come New Year's 1st, everybody makes their New Year's resolutions. Then maybe a weekend, that's it. I'm done with that. Then you have your healthy eaters. That's sort of what me and Tammy's been doing this year, started January, But then they'll order a double Whopper and get a Coke to try to balance it out, a Diet Coke to try to balance it out. One of my favorite ones is a guy at work several years ago. North Carolina's a right-to-work state. You can be in the union or not be in the union, and he didn't want management to know he was going to be a union member, so he signed the card, kept it from management, and we was in negotiations and was going to vote to ratify our contract. So he sneaks in and he votes, puts his vote in the ballot box, and guess who was on the front page of the Gaston Gazette the next day? He was. Freightliner ratifies a new contract, and we was all sitting there reading newspapers, and there's his picture on the front of it, and he comes in like, oh man, management's gonna know I'm on the union side now, right? So you have several different, I found a few scriptures I think that sort of fall in line with fence riding. One of them is in Joshua 24:15. It said, and if it seems evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as far as me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And another one I found, I think, was 1 Kings 18 verses 21. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. And the other one I found was, I think Hosea chapter 10, verse 2. Their heart is divided. Now they be found faulty. He shall break down their altars. He shall spoil their images. And the other one is Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, is no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. It's how to, we want just enough discipline to feel productive in our Christian life. and just enough church sometimes. And like I said, this is how I was for years and years. Just enough church to feel saved, which we know I am saved. Then you have just enough conviction to feel spiritual. Then I have enough surrender to be uncomfortable. We didn't jump off the fence. I didn't jump off the fence. I was decorating the fence because I thought I was just fine just riding that fence, using God when I wanted to. Then, but here's the problem with riding the fence. It gets very uncomfortable riding the fence all the years. And it's uncomfortable, it's unstable, and eventually you're probably going to fall off on one side or the other, eventually, right? So the fence sitters don't reject Christ, they just won't let him lead. And why is it so dangerous to ride the fence as a Christian? It feels safe, but it's spiritually numb. I wasn't getting anything because I'm riding that fence all those years, And it slowly redefines sin as not that bad, When you ride the fence, you use God, and you dabble a little bit on this side, you eventually talk yourself into this side's not that bad. And it confuses others about what following Jesus is actually about. You at work and they say, well, you go to church on Sundays, but you sure don't act like it when you're at work, right? To me, that's what a fence riding Christian is. And Jesus doesn't call it balance. He calls it lukewarm. And in Revelations, I think that this is what the preachers even preached in Revelations, is Revelations chapter verse 16. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. God doesn't want you cold or hot. He doesn't want you lukewarm. He wants you to be 100% on his side, right? And if you're on the fence, you're already leaning somewhere. You can't have, what they say, your cake and eat it too. And how to get off the fence. This is something everybody has to work on if you're on the fence, is you have to name the compromise. If your compromise is on the wrong side, you have to name what and try to push that stuff aside and try to stay on 100% on God's side of the fence. And you confess it to God. Just pray, say, dear Lord, help me be 100% on your side. I don't want to be this way anymore. And cut access to what feeds it. It's just like Tammy was telling Quincy the other night. He was at our house. If you have a black dog and a white dog, whichever one you feed is going to be the strongest. If you feed the black dog, which represents evil, that's what side's going to grow more. If you feed the other side, that's the one's going to grow. So that's what I've done the last almost 2 years is I've been feeding my good side. And when I get in my truck now, you can get in my truck and turn the radio on and it's on gospel music. So I continually listen to that, and that's helped me tremendously in my life the last 2 years. And you have to decide daily, just like getting up in the mornings, you got to decide if it's going to be a good day or a bad day. I get up and say, this is going to be a good day. You have to be positive. And final truth is, God isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for surrender. Because, there's no perfect man except for Jesus Christ when he was on the earth. We're not perfect, and God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He just wants us to surrender for him. Like I said, I was that way for many years, sitting in this church, just a lukewarm Christian. And I didn't want to be lukewarm anymore. And it's just like Brother Gregory was talking about Sunday, about soldiers. Yeah, all of us are soldiers, but we need active soldiers, right? It's easy to be just a soldier in the Lord's army, but when it's time to fight, we need active soldiers. And when I was, before I even started getting this riding the fence up, I was up in the union office several weeks ago, and I had my earbuds in, and I come across this video that, man, you just have to put yourself in this room, union office, had my earbuds in, I'm listening to this video. This man has a dream, and in the middle of his dream was a fence right down the middle. and they had a little scary music playing in the background, right? And Satan comes up to this man and says, you have to choose right now who you want. You want me or you want God? And that man sits there and thinks for a few minutes. Then he starts laughing. He said, you know what? He got right on the fence. He said, how about that? I got it. And all of a sudden, like I said, I'm listening to this with my earbuds, right? And then the lights went out on this video, and this crazy music started playing, and you hear the Satan laughing. And he grabs this man by the arms and starts dragging him to hell. And that man's like, I didn't choose you. I didn't choose God. I chose the middle of the fence. And the devil started laughing. The fence is mine. Man, I thought that was really powerful at the time, you know. And I think it was a few years ago, we didn't have a land dispute. I built my grandsons a park, and I built a little bit on this other man's land, and he come over there and said, hey, you know, this is my part of the land. He had it surveyed, and so I had to move some gravel back to my side of the fence, or my side of the property. And I think the next week, I put a fence up across the line. That way I know what was my property. And Hendricks and Maddox says, Pawpaw, is that man's fence? And there's no boys. I said, that's Pawpaw's fence. That this side of the fence is our land, that side's his, right? So that's pretty much all I got, really. I studied a long time, but yeah, like I said, I just don't want people to, I'm just hoping I will be able to help you about riding the fence, because anytime I get up here and speak about something, it's something I went through, and I went through it for many, many years, you know, and it really helped me. And I've really tried the last 2 years. I'm on this side of the fence, but sometimes I catch myself leaning on the fence, and that's when you have to stand straight back up, because we're not 100% perfect in this world. I mean, even if you're sick. And I caught myself back in, I think it was 1991, talking about being on the fence. I was lost and on the straddling the fence. I think it was 91 or 92. There was a battle between God and Satan over my soul, and I felt like that dream. I had to make a decision right there what I was going to do with my soul that night. And thank goodness I listened and went to this side of the fence. And I don't have to ever worry about going on this side of the fence, because Jesus owns the fence that I'm on. So, like I said, I'm hoping this helps somebody, because it's really helped me going through what I've went through the last 2 years. So, anybody got anything for closings? Told you I wasn't going to keep you long. Thank you, appreciate it. Told you I wasn't going to be long. I gave you 5 minutes Sunday of it. Yeah, all right. But better not forget the offering, because I think he's got me on YouTube too, so he's watching. All right, let's take up the offering. Dear Father, we want to thank you for dying on the cross for us. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. And